Hello, my name is Ella Garcelon. I'm a 16-year-old from Port Angeles, Washington. Through some recent research, I've learned that Washington provides numerous incentives for businesses using green energy, such as state sales and tax exemptions on solar panels. Are there any new incentives to attract and support businesses designing and building green energy products in Washington? And have current incentives proven to encourage the use of green energy?
Thank you, Ella, for the question. So there is a very important piece of legislation in Washington called the Clean Energy Transformation Act. And so all across Washington, businesses are required to use clean energy over time and decarbonize. And so to help all of our communities across Washington, to make sure that we are decarbonizing, we also have a number of incentives, as you recently researched. I'm particularly interested this session in making sure that we have solar incentives in particular, and that we have incentives that are making sure that we're able to use the energy that's produced in the most efficient way and make sure that that energy is reliable and affordable for folks. So I'm working on adapting new legislation to that end. And then additionally, there's the Climate Commitment Act, which provides lots of funding to local communities, including in my district, to make sure that there are infrastructure projects and that everybody is receiving benefits from that cap and invest program to make sure that they're able to decarbonize their communities.
Hi, Ella. You're right to note that there's a lot of incentives to encourage wind and solar energy in our energy grid, but they also are very effective in encouraging a great deal of company competition to come in and develop a lot of lands in eastern Washington for wind and solar. There's federal subsidies as well. The tax incentives actually impact the economies of our small towns. So, for example, with the state building tax incentives, those incentives impact the ability of local governments to provide resources to schools. And the problems that we have is that when the developments are being made, they change the land values in our communities. And so that makes it more difficult for farmers to be able to pass their land on to their kids or their families or to the people that would be farming after them. It also changes the property tax levels so that our smaller schools don't qualify for some of the tax benefits for levy equalization, and we lose funding for our schools. An example is in Columbia County, when we actually saw $1,000 a student loss in school funding because of the tax incentives that our state gives. So now we're trying to figure out how we make it more equitable and fair for the communities that are required to change their land use, change the community landscape with large industrialized energy factories, and make it fair for their communities to have equitable funding for their schools and for their public resources, and to help their communities grow economically. Right now, the energy policy is really imbalanced, and it doesn't fairly consider the needs of the community because the permitting goes outside of that community, and the local governing officials don't have any choices as to what kinds of benefits that they can offer. There is some increased tax revenue, but unfortunately, the big developers can depreciate their equipment quickly, and all of that tax shifts over onto the people that live on the land. And then it makes their government services more expensive for the people that live there. So while the incentives benefit rapid development of renewable energy resources, it hurts the communities that are expected to host the development of these large solar and wind factories on rural lands that are beautiful and open space and things that we want to protect for the environment in our community.